A win is a win is a win is a win. It wasn't pretty by any means, but the New York Jets, they're on the board. Aaron Rodgers, he's on the board. The Jets beat the Titans, ruined their home opener 24-17. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, and there's a lot of ugly. They win the game, but they lose a key defensive player in the process. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good, and so did Braylon Allen. We have so many parts of this game to break down, and we'll do it with Connor Long. You're going to want to tune into this one. We're live on YouTube. Come join the party. It's a post-game edition of the Sick Podcast, Jets Flight Club.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Jets Fight Club. The sickest New York Jets podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome back to the Sick Podcast, Jets Flight Club. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio is where you find me on social media. Smash that thumbs up if you're watching live right now on YouTube, or if you're watching this back, smash that thumbs up, comment below, let us know your thoughts on the Jets victory. You know what time it is. It's a happy Victory Monday. Sunday night as we're live, but as you're listening to this, it might be Monday. So it is a happy Victory Monday. We're 3 days away from the next Jets game, which is the home opener against the goddamn Patriots. And boy, does that game have some more oomph? Does it have some more juice that the Jets are on the winning board and Aaron Rodgers in the winning column for the first time as a Jet? I'll be joined in a few minutes by special guest. He's been taking over the Jets world, 13 years old, and he's crushing it. That's Connor Long of New York Flight Jets Talk. He writes for Jets X Factor and Mets Mesmerize as well. New York Flight Jets on Twitter. Connor's going to join me in just a minute, but quick thoughts on the game. First off, let's start with the positive here. The Jets won. And I think we've all been waiting 2 years for a Jets win with Aaron Rodgers behind center. I guess as a starter, he was 1-0, but we only saw 4 plays last week. I was in the press box for that game last year, the opener against the Bills. Incredible win, but you had the feeling that the season was cooked when Rodgers was out. Well, today, Rodgers gets the win, and he was grateful. He was gracious after the game, and he had a good game. He had some nice throws. I thought the throw to Breece Hall was fantastic. Breece made an even better play than the throw on that receiving touchdown. Braylon Allen, the youngest player from the oldest player, 20 years old, the NFL's youngest player to score a touchdown since 1930. Are you kidding me? There's nobody listening or watching this show that was alive in 1930, not even me. And Allen, 20 years old, from the 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and 2 touchdowns, just like you drew it up. Aaron Rodgers' first non-free play touchdown pass in a Jets uniform comes to 20-year-old Braylon Allen. And Allen wasn't involved a lot last week, and they finally got him involved. And boy, did they need it. And they got more guys involved than they did last week. So if you want to look at a positive, and I want to start with positives here, because this isn't the doom and gloom podcast. This isn't the old podcast that you listen to. We're green and white skies in Jets land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different receivers. Sure, 3 of them only caught 1, including Mike Williams, who made a ridiculous 19-yard grab. Williams, Conklin, Corley, 1. Corley involved, finally gets a play, 4 yards. Need to see more of it. But it's better than Rodgers throwing at just 3 guys. He was spreading the love. And that is what you need to see from the Jets offense. Breece Hall, I said the receiving touchdown, 14 for 62, was a bit better on the ground today, but I said this on the pre-show. And if you listen, you watch, I said go in the over, 30.5 yards, and that Breece needs to be dominant as a receiver. Was Nathaniel Hackett listening to Jets Flight Club last show with me and Eric Coleman? 7 catches for 52 yards and a score. Breece Hall, the receiver. We need more of it. And you saw that on Sunday in Nashville. Rodgers, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, all big stories in a Jets victory. Now, before I bring Connor on, what we leave this game with is our prayers out to Jermaine Johnson. Likely a torn Achilles, torn ACL, likely out for the season. We'll find out officially Monday morning, but it looks over this year for the sophomore who is due for a monster season and a big part of the Jets defense. Now they are without him. They are still without Hassan Reddick. There's no Bryce Huff to save them. He's in Philly. There's no JFM to save them. He's in Denver. And now there's a lot of questions to be asked this week, and it's a short week, so I don't see much changing. Maybe someone elevated from the practice squad, but I don't know if I see any signings or trades happening in the next couple days before the Jets come home for their home opener against the 1-1 Patriots who lost this week to the Seahawks in overtime. I don't know if there's going to be any roster change, but, man, your heart goes out for Jermaine Johnson because he, with Hassan Reddick still not here and signed and showing up, losing $8 million, they now are without arguably their best pass rusher. Will McDonald filled in nicely today, 3 of the 4 Jet sacks, but there's not enough juice there now on that pass rush, and the Jets are going to have to make a move. If it's not this week, it's for their next game, next weekend, or excuse me, in 10, however many days it is. I'm not doing the math right now. Something's got to give. That is a monster loss for the Jets. And C.J. Mosley, we'll find out Monday as well. Hurt his toe in the opening minutes of the second quarter, did not return. The anchor of the defense and one of the best pass rushers. They lose both on Sunday. One for likely the year and the other TBD. So you skate with a win and you're glad and it's next man up, but you also leave Nashville without a couple of key pieces on that defense. Here's the good news. Breece Hall did come back in the game, and he seems to be okay. He had exited for a bit there, and you were worried that you were without Breece, you were without Jermaine, you were without Mosley, and the sky was falling in Jets land. Breece Hall did come back, so hopefully he is good to go for Thursday. But, you leave with a victory, and that was the key. All right, let's bring in our guests here. We're live on YouTube. Smash that thumbs up below. Comment below. Tweet us at SickPodJets. Eric Coleman traveling today, but couldn't hop on this show. He'll be back likely for the post game after Jets Patriots on Friday. Let's bring in our guests. He's been taking the world by storm. You've seen him recently on CBS New York. He hosts the New York Flight Jets Talk. He writes for Jets X Factor. He's 13 years old. It's Connor Long. Let's welcome in Connor to the program. Connor, welcome to Jets Flight Club. I hope you have taken flight and you're ready to talk some Jets. How you doing?
Well, Jake, I'm doing well. I really appreciate you having me on and trying to fill the shoes of the great former Jets safety Eric Coleman here.
Yeah, I mean Eric is jacked, so I don't think you're as strong as Eric Coleman, Connor. But have you been lifting? What do you bench these days in 8th grade? Do they make you bench in gym in 8th grade?
I don't know the exact weight of what I bench, but I'll let you know right now. I have a quarter of the size of the biceps that Eric Coleman has. I'll guarantee you that.
Those biceps are just absurd, and they make me feel weak. And I am weak, but they make me feel extra weak. And we all felt weak when they lost Jermaine Johnson. Connor, I mean, you're rocking his jersey right now. If you're watching on YouTube, Connor is rocking the Jermaine Johnson jersey. I'm not going to blame you for the injury. It's not your fault, but. When he left that game and he was carted off, Connor, that he was cooked. It was over for him. And in a sophomore season where we were like, and I said on the preview show of the season, Jermaine Johnson is going to be massive for this defense. We can't understate the loss of Jermaine Johnson, assuming he is out for the year.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And it was an interesting play there, Jake, in the third quarter. It was a non-contact injury. He was attempting to sack quarterback Will Levis, immediately gets carted off the field, and it's never a great sign when you see someone like JJ, just the grit, the drive that he plays with. He went down on the ground. He got carted off the field. We all knew at first that wasn't a great sign. As for his career and what it would look like this year for him, he was selected in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft along with Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and then Breece Hall, obviously coming in the second round of that class. He's entering his third year in the league. He took a huge year 2 leap last season, earning a Pro Bowl appearance, recording 7.5 sacks. I thought he was primed for a breakout season this year, and definitely not the news you want to hear. But what I will say is it's good to see a young piece like Will McDonald, record 3 sacks. He had 3 sacks all of last season, his rookie campaign. So great to see someone like him shine.
Yeah, Will McDonald, a pick that we questioned when the Jets made it. We said, look at all the pass rushers they had.
Yes,
Is this the right pick? I think all of us critiqued it. I don't think there were many people like, I love the Will McDonald pick.
absolutely.
I'd like to know who they were or the ones who loved it. But now you want to talk about a guy who needs to step up. Will McDonald has got to step up for this team because at least for Thursday, it's his time. There's Hassan Reddick, I doubt is showing up before Thursday in a short week. The name we could talk about, a free agent, 29 years old, similar to Reddick, approaching 30, but maybe get him a little bit cheaper as a guy who's still out there is Yannick Ngakoue. Again, probably not happening this week, but Connor, I mean, I got to think the Jets are giving Ngakoue's agent a call and saying, is he ready? Is he good to go? Why has no one signed him? They have to bring bodies in. This isn't a situation, at least for after this week, where you could say, oh, we'll elevate a guy from the practice squad. This guy will get more snaps. They need bodies. And if Reddick's not going to be the body, sign someone or it might be too early for a trade, but start looking at the waiver wire.
Well, Jake, in terms of Ngakoue there, he's an interesting one because he's a talented player. It's just interesting that he hasn't been signed. I think there's something there that is yet to be uncovered. In terms of what the Jets will do, like you said, it's a short week. I don't think they'll do anything. I think they'll wait for this game to play out, see what the pass rush looks like. But you have to keep in mind Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, and the rest of the Jets defensive coaching staff always had that mindset, okay, next man up. They've never seemed to kind of jump the gun, even with injuries, go out, add that extra body, and it's helped them in ways and it's hurt them. So it's going to be interesting what they do, but I can't see any motion on the waiver wire before Thursday's contest.
Yeah, they're going to have to go with what they got. And, this defense, let's give them some credit. They stepped up big towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the Will Levis touchdown pass, I mean, that's just a ridiculous throw and catch. I mean, you got to just hand it to them. I don't really blame Sauce much. It just fell between them, and he happened to roll into the end zone. They contained Will Levis for the most part, but they also got some help. Will Levis cannot make that backwards throw because in that situation, you have a field goal if you just go down. Instead, he throws it backwards. In an impossible situation, the Jets pick up the fumble. The pick is just an unreal play by Brandon Echols. I mean, we have to give Brandon Echols, and he talked about the coaching staff saying, play until you get to the ground. And that's essentially what happened because that ball was caught and he essentially robbed it. Like this, where's Ricky Pearsall when he needs him? You need him. He knows something about recent robberies. He's okay now. So I hate to make light on a bad situation, but that was a highway robbery of that ball. So that is a big play from Echols. The Jets had guys like Echols, McDonald, Solomon Thomas. I love Solomon Thomas because he's a fellow Broadway fan and I'm a big Broadway guy. He's a big musical guy. So the Jets had it wasn't Quinton Williams. It wasn't Sauce Gardner. Reed wasn't playing. So Mosley was out. It was the unlikely heroes of this Jets defense, guys who would now have a massive step ahead to take with these injuries that made some monster plays for the Jets defense, including, the final play there on fourth down. They're in the red zone. I mean, they either go for the win or this game goes to overtime, and the defense stepped up when they needed it.
We saw Echols step into a starting role against the Dolphins around two seasons ago, I believe it was, where he had that crazy 2-interception game. I view Echols, I think he's a very talented player. I think he has the capability of being a starter in this league. I just think the Jets have so much depth there at that position, the best trio in all of football. Pro Football Focus ranked all Michael Carter II, DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, all three of those guys within the top 10 of top 15 best cornerbacks in all of football. That just goes to show how talented this position room is. But in terms of who stepped up, I completely agree. You mentioned Solomon Thomas there. Jake, I don't know if you've seen it, but Solomon Thomas has gotten a lot of hate throughout these past few seasons. And I quite frankly, I don't understand it. Solly had a 6.5 sack season last year. Great year overall. I think a lot of it, though, Jake, has to do, he was selected with a 3rd overall pick. He obviously has not lived up to that hype. But if you told me right now, Solomon Thomas was a day 3 talent, I'd say he is an incredible player. And he's lived up to expectations. So I think a lot of it has to do with the weight he has carried with that 3rd overall pick. He recorded just 1 sack less than Jermaine Johnson did last year, and we saw how much love Jermaine Johnson got. 7.5 sacks, earned a Pro Bowl appearance. So, a Solomon Thomas, I'm a big fan of his game, and I really like what he could do on the inside, but the run defense on the interior is definitely an issue, and this losing JFM has shown.
Yeah, the JFM, I think we all looked at, they'll be fine. He's getting overpaid, but when you in times of trouble, and the Jets with these injuries is trouble, it's next man up. When you don't have the next man up, you're screwed. Like That's where Joe Douglas failed this all. Well, him slash, Dandy, the agent, and Reddick, that combination, that trio, they've all failed completely. I mean, losing $8 million is nothing to sniff at. That's just absolute buffoonery, in my opinion, by Reddick. He's going to be a free agent. He has put nothing on tape. And now, he's probably smiling, hoping that, the Jets pay him, but he loses one of his brothers, I should say. He never showed up. So I don't know if Jermaine Johnson is one of his brothers now, but this defense is got to be better. I think they had moments, but they also had the help of a quarterback that just made some poor decision making. I mean, he just made some bad decisions. Now, they were a little bit better against the run, but they still gave up 130 yards on the ground. We have to see improvement, Connor, from the rush defense. Ramondre Stevenson is going to run it 25 times probably on Thursday. The Patriots like to play a game where they try to dominate time of possession and they let their defense do the talking. Well, they're going to run it a lot, and the Jets, I don't know if it's going to be in practice or walkthroughs, however the schedule lines up for them this week. They got to find a way to not only get after the quarterback, which they did well against Will Levis, sacking him 4 times, but they got to contain the ground game. Eric Coleman talked about a lot on the show, like, your team is defined by how you play against the run. Well, if that's how the Jets are defined, they got to be better than this.
Absolutely. Quinnen Williams is someone who's, has a name throughout his career. His ability to stop the run and pass, just an overall very talented defensive tackle in this league. I don't think I heard his name called once during today's matchup. We saw nothing out of him, and he's the leader of this group. He needs to be one of the guys who steps up. As for Javon Kinlaw, I thought he had a fine opening matchup against his former team, the San Francisco 49ers. I thought he had another fine game today. Solomon Thomas, I'm a big fan of his ability against the pass. I'm still waiting for him, though, to take that next step against the run. And someone the Jets elevated from the practice squad now for the second week in a row is none other than veteran defensive tackle Jalen Holmes. And quite frankly, Jake, it's unfortunate that we're sitting here and saying this, but I think Holmes is the best against the run out of anyone on this defensive front from what he's shown throughout these first 2 games.
And that's a big statement because, an average Jets fan doesn't know who he is. So, and I think an unsung hero we got to look at today is Connor is Jamie Sherwood. I mean, 12 total tackles, 1 for a loss, and a pass defended. He led the Jets defense in tackles. And when you think of the Jets defense, the first 7 players, first 8 players, you're not naming Jamie and Sherwood. So we have to give, a little clap for Jamie and Sherwood today because he played big and he did in the absence of CJ Mosley. Now, Mosley has got to be okay for Thursday. And with this short week, this is not the Jets already got screwed with this schedule and having one, the Monday game, Sunday game, then Thursday game. 2, having your home opener the 3rd game of the season. 3, your home opener being on a Thursday night. I mean, there's nothing more anticlimactic than a Thursday night against the Patriots. And your hope is that it's against the Patriots and you should be able to beat them. They're obviously going to be favored, but they really got screwed with the schedule. And you were hoping that early in the season they'd survive injuries. Well, you knew, Connor, it was too good to be true when we left week 1 with, the Jets have no significant injuries coming out of week 1. That only meant something bad in week 2, and we got it with Jermaine Johnson. So we'll find out about Mosley. Toe injury, who knows? It alarms me that he didn't come back because he's a guy I feel like who plays through injuries.
Leader.
But yeah, the fact he didn't come back, Connor, I think he's done for Thursday. But, I'm not a doctor. We'll find out. But otherwise, the offense, we both agree on one thing, and that's Nathaniel Hackett and him not being good. And this is my worry. And you made a good point. I want you to say, here about Hackett, play calling, Rodgers audibling, and how it does affect, the offense entirely, especially when it comes to penalties. I mean, the Jets were very undisciplined today, Connor. 7 penalties, 70 yards. There was a point in the second quarter where they had more penalty yards than they did actual yards, and that can't happen. Tennessee isn't like Seattle or Kansas City. This shouldn't be this feared place to play where, you can't hear something in the headset, delay of games. Like, Hackett is causing problems across the board for this team, and Rodgers throughout his career, and when he did play with Hackett, was able to overcome it. But, I don't know if the Jets are going to be able to overcome their poor coaching, and that starts with Nathaniel Hackett.
Well, Jake, when Aaron Rodgers the Jets traded for Aaron Rodgers, we all knew, okay, this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' offense. He brought in his former offensive coordinator in Nathaniel Hackett. And Nathaniel Hackett is still here, quite frankly, calling the plays. We all knew it was going to be Aaron Rodgers' offense, but the major question is Hackett's incompetent play call. Is Rodgers going to have enough time to change these plays and turn them into solid plays at the line of scrimmage? And Jake, what we saw today was not great. Several delay of game calls, and I think it has to do with this incompetent play calling from Hackett, Aaron Rodgers trying to audible at the line of scrimmage and just running out of time. So the Jets also had to use several timeouts. I think they used 2 timeouts or 3 timeouts, something along those lines, along with the penalties for delay game they already got called for. So it's definitely not great overall. Just, a short week too, are they going to have enough time to figure out these kinks going into the home opener?
You can get away with that against Will Levis and the Titans, but you can't get away with that against other teams. Now, Patriots, we'll see. I think the Patriots are well coached. They just don't have the most talent in the world. So, they could have been 2-0 today. They ended up losing in overtime. I almost wanted them to win because, maybe that gives the Jets a little bit more mojo. And the Patriots, an interesting team. I feel like a team that we're expecting to finish in last place, but we don't know with Mayo what kind of coach he is and what kind of team they are. But, you have the Broncos after that, Vikings who win again. They shocked the Niners, like the Sam Darnold and Vikings, man. They are just shocking the world with their play. I mean, Sam Darnold looks like, if the season ends today, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
He looks like a completely different player than the Sam Darnold we know, but you can't get away with this against the teams ahead. Maybe Denver. Bo Nix looks bad, where maybe Zach Wilson's the quarterback of that game at MetLife Stadium in a few weeks, but the discipline, the penalties, it just cannot happen. And when Hackett pisses me off is when he does these 3rd and 1s. Example, first quarter, 3rd and 1, he was stuffed in the most predictable run play where they stack everyone up there. They got Conklin in motion. They got 8 guys at the line. Me, my mother, your mother, we all know they're running the ball in that situation. There's got to be more creativity. You saw the Niners just completely outcoach the Jets last week, and you saw them, guys in motion, reverses. The Jets finally did a reverse. It took till the 4th quarter with Garrett Wilson to do one, and it worked. Shocker, a reverse works with an explosive playmaker. You got multiple of them, and the Yak King, Corley, and Brees Hall, and Garrett Wilson. You got explosive playmakers. Would love to see more of that. Maybe do that in the first quarter next time. But these 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, these runs that are just so obvious that they're running, that's where Hackett really gets to me, because there's got to be something in the playbook where you say, hey, they got 8 guys in the box. They're going to stop this. And that's exactly what they did in the first quarter. Hackett has got to – I don't know what to say anymore. Like, does he change his entire playbook? Does he have a meeting with Rodgers and say, hey, you call the plays? They talked about bringing in more help on the coaching staff offensively in the offseason. It doesn't seem to have happened or worked, or nothing was changed. And that's where I just worry this Jets season at some point can be doomed by this buffoon at offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I completely agree. In terms of the play calling, we saw it the past few seasons with Zach Wilson. I mean, my comparison is always 3rd and 14, and the Jets throw a tight end screen to Tyler Conklin, and we all know how that goes. We saw a play, I think it was 2nd and 20 or something like that today, where the Jets run it right up the middle with Brees Hall on 2nd and 20. And I always say, Jake, personally, a lot of fans will go to 3rd down is the most important down of the drive, because that decides if you're going to punt or get a first down. Quite frankly, for this Jets team, I think it is really 2nd down, because there's a huge difference than a 3rd and 3 for this Jets team and a 3rd and 8. So in terms of Hackett's play calling, there's no question he needs to get more creative. I want to see, I'm more curious to see how they experiment kind of using Todd Downing, maybe the pass game coordinator / quarterback coach, how they involve him in help creating these game plans. In terms of the overall victory and how they're going to play against other teams, a performance like this is not going to fly if you're playing against the top dog in the AFC, such as the Baltimore Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs. Quite frankly, it's not going to work. The Jets beat an 0-2 Titans team by a touchdown after the Titans blew a 17-point lead to the Chicago Bears during Week 1. The Bears didn't even need to score a touchdown. That just goes to show. And overall, I thought the Jets were handed this win. Yes, a win is a win, and I completely agree with what you said there. However, I'm going to get excited. I'm going to get really confident. There's no question this team has talent, but I'm going to get excited. I'm going to get confident when I see this team go out and earn what I feel like is a well-deserved win. Go out and kill a New England Patriots team on Thursday Night Football in their home opener under the bright lights. Can't imagine how great that would be. I want a huge win. I don't think this is a huge win. Yes, a win is a win. Like I said, I completely agree. However, I want a big win.
I agree. I mean, it was handed on a silver platter by
Exactly.
a team that the Jets are better than the Titans, period. On paper, whatever the talent is by far better than the Tennessee Titans. So I think we're happy in the sense of we got to win. Rodgers got to win. Braylon Allen, 2 touchdowns. Braylon Allen looking like an incredible draft pick. Youngest player in the NFL. He's 20, which makes you think, this guy could have a longer career than most ahead of him just because he's got the extra years. And you have a great 1-2 punch. You got the receivers. I think the offensive line played decent today. They weren't bad. We need to see them blow people away. I don't think they were great. I saw you roll your eyes. They were fine. They didn't allow too many sacks, and I thought they were okay, but they can be better. Matthew Frank commenting in the chat, Jets should not cave into Reddick. Your thoughts on this? Connor, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
It's a very interesting standpoint there, Matthew, because it's especially with this even if JJ was fully healthy, he had the performance, he came out, there was no injury whatsoever. I still think Hassan Reddick is a need for this team if the Jets want to compete for the AFC title. You look at Reddick, yes, he's creeping up on 30 years old. However, 50 and a half sacks over the past 4 seasons, 16 coming, of course, 2022. That year, he finished 4th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. There's no question he has all this talent. It's just, do the Jets have the cap room really to pay him this lucrative price at the average annual salary of $25 to $28 million a year, a multi-year deal at that, Jake. But the Jets did that. They restructured Quincy Williams and Tyler Conklin's contract. I think the Jets have the cap room. I think they give it one more game, though. They lose against the Patriots and they are unable to pressure Jacoby Brissett. I think something needs to happen with this Reddick situation.
How wild would it be if they sign Ngakoue and Reddick is sitting there like, oh, you're signing someone else, huh? You're paying because he's not going to demand the same money. I would imagine he's not, but who knows? Because he is still a free agent. You wonder these agents and what they're saying because, the player has to agree with the agent because Reddick could easily say to his agent, like, hey, let's just get a deal done. But you worry about that agent-player dynamic, and at this point, I fire my agent if I'm Hassan Reddick because whatever advice he's giving him is not smart. He's already lost out on 2 games, $8 million. He can't get that back, and he's going to be a free agent. So I wouldn't cave in, but I'd say, hey, Hassan, like, let's be real here. Like, you haven't showed up for us yet. Why are we giving you this massive deal? You did it for an old franchise that isn't us. You've proven yourself to a franchise that isn't us. You haven't proven us jack you know what. Like, why are we giving you a monster deal? Show up, ball, and then maybe in 8 weeks we talk about a deal. Why are we talking a deal now when you didn't show up for minicamp, OTAs, training camp? Like, that work ethic isn't there for Hassan Reddick with this franchise. And, there were already stuff out there about, he was changing plays last year. He wasn't the greatest teammate last year. So why are the Jets betting over backwards to cater to you? Because they have some injuries they're dealing with. I think that sends a bad message to the locker room. And you're already worried about his return, Connor, when he comes back. These guys have worked their tail off an entire camp and a couple weeks now of the season. And this guy's just going to show up walking in and you think everyone's just going to embrace him? No. There's a human element to this. Players could say all they want about, whenever he shows up, we'll welcome him with the open arms. That's the saying. No. There is a human element to this. I don't think anyone's saying, oh, come on in, buddy. Let's give you a hug. I'll take you out to a steak dinner. No, guys are going to be pissed off saying, hey, where you been? Like, you greedy bastard. Like, where have you been? But the Jets can't trot this same unit out there without Jermaine Johnson every week. So don't cave in, but have a long, extensive talk with with Reddick and figure out some kind of resolution because there's no doubt if he does show up, this team is a lot better and they solve a hole that is massive right now for this unit.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Reddick already, over $8 million in fines. He's already missed out on, the money's getting taken away from his AAV, along with the fact he's missing out on these game checks, which also come with a nice amount of money there. in terms of what the Jets get done, it's one thing if he's looking for a sweetener. Okay, we guarantee some money here on your current deal. You show up, do whatever you want, and the next season we let you walk and we part ways in a proper manner, a respectful manner. Or he could do this, where he just continues to hold out and looks for this deal. But here's the thing, Jake. He's used all of his leverage right now. He's already missed out on 2 game checks, about to play third game of the season on Thursday night, and he still is not here. Like I said, demanding an extension the range of $25 to $28 million a year. Jake, listen to this. Myles Garrett has an average annual salary of $25 million a year. TJ Watt has an average annual salary of a little more than $28 million a year. Are the Jets willing to pay top dollar for someone like Reddick, who, not to mention, didn't record any sacks throughout the final 4 games, I believe it was, in Philly, which is already a turnoff for some, along with the fact, hey, he's creeping up on 30 years old, and I don't he's very talented, don't get me wrong, but he's not a Myles Garrett or a TJ Watt.
Yeah, there's the number. Connor bringing the numbers, doing the research, and everyone's saying, "Oh, he should have paid Bryce Huff." I'm not 100% sure Bryce Huff wanted to be in New York. He barely got enough playing time to really ball out, and now he's even gotten little playing time in Philly. So Bryce Huff, he might have got paid, but he's not getting all the playing time in the world in Philly either. So tough situation for him. JFM, you probably should have paid. He was a good Jet, and I don't think JFM numbers really backed him up. When you look at the stat sheet and the box score, JFM didn't blow you away, but look at the run game now, and you could really use a JFM against these run games. And one coming up on Thursday, Jets Pats. Let's preview this game for a few minutes because it's a big one. Home opener. The last time we saw Aaron Rodgers, it was awful. I was there, and you could hear a pin drop in the building. And despite the Jets winning, you just knew that that season was cooked. Like, Zach Wilson was not going to be able to lead them to the playoffs. This is big for Rodgers. Besides just waving the flag and, showing up and fans being excited, like you said earlier, they got to go out and show that they could win a football game in a dominant fashion. This game was handed to them. The Patriots aren't going to do that. The Patriots are a team, what they did today in the ground. 11 for 96 from Antonio Gibson, 21 for 81 from Ramondre Stevenson. That's 32 runs, and I'm good at, mental math. I could do that in my head. It's 177 yards and a touchdown by the run game. And Jacoby Brissett was pedestrian, 15 to 27 for 149. But this Jets team, 2 games in a row, they have not been good against the run. They've been getting destroyed on the ground. I don't know what needs to change in practice, what they got to look at in game tape or walkthroughs in the short week, but they got to find a way to, Jeff Ulbrich has really got to find a way. Robert Saleh, this defensive mastermind, my ass. I mean, they got to find a way to stop the ground game, because if you do that against the Patriots, Connor, you should be able to win this game convincingly, because they are 32 runs. The time of possession is dominated by the run game for them, and if the Jets could find a way to contain that, they should win the home opener.
Absolutely. And the run game is definitely the X factor there. You mentioned Ramondre Stevenson. He's had a great first 2 weeks. And I'm going to piggyback on what you said about JFM earlier on. Like you said, might have not shown up on the stat sheet, but he's what I like to call a silent contributor. He's a silencer when he's on the field, but when he's off the field, you can clearly see the difference. So I wouldn't really consider him a, quote, difference maker when he's on the field, but there's definitely an impact, of his when he is not present for these games. And we've seen it these first 2 weeks. In terms of what the Jets do, Jake, I wish I knew the answer to this question. I think a lot of it, 2 games now in the books. They've hopefully knocked all the rust off. This game against the Patriots, they don't have an offensive line. I know the exact rankings. I'm going to start reading up on the Patriots tomorrow morning, but their offensive line talent doesn't really blow me away, if you will, compared to the 49ers, where the Jets really struggled in stopping the run. Not to mention they have one of the best offensive lines in all of football. So a lot of it has to go into the offensive line matchups. I will look into that tomorrow, but it's a lot of it. I need someone like Quinnen Williams to step up. He's the leader of this group. I want him to make a statement on Thursday.
And Matthew Frank says, I think JFM had a leave game for Denver. I did not see that, but I guess he did get hurt.
Let's see.
So you check that. And, they got to contain the middle of the field. Hunter Henry, 8 for 109 for the Patriots today. 9 of the 15 completions went to tight end. So the Jets, they specialize in the outside with a guy named Sauce Gardner, but they got to find a way the middle of the field. I think, we said the name is escaping me. The interception by the Jets.
Brendan Eccles.
Brandon Eccles, thank you. I'm getting old. See, in my old age now, I'm losing my memory. Brandon Eccles, the guys in the slot, like you have to contain the tight ends because it's run game and tight ends were the name of the game for the Patriots. That's the way they move. They move the ball down the field. The outsides, they didn't do much. Jalen Polk, 2 for 12. Antonio Gibson, running back, 1 for 7. Ramondre Stevens, 2 for 9. They had 2 receivers make catches. Osborne and Polk. That's 3 catches, 2 guys. The rest were running backs and tight ends. So if the Jets could dominate the middle of the field, Connor, they should be able to win. My prediction, I think the Jets do win. I just think MetLife Stadium will be rocking. I think I'm going to go on Thursday night. And I think this place is just going to be buzzing, the energy, everything surrounding it. I think they're going to get after Jacoby Brissett. And I think they find a way to stop the run game. I can't answer why or how, but I feel like they make adjustments. They watch tape and they find a way. And now I think they're going to win for JJ, win for Jermaine Johnson. You saw how emotional guys were in the locker room. Some of them brought to tears by Jermaine's injury. And, Jermaine's going to bounce back strong and be great for this team next year. But I think they want to win for JJ, and that defense wants to step up in his place. And Will McDonald's going to be the guy to watch. But I think I just can't see them losing their home opener. And I know the trouble they've had with the Patriots over the last however many 15 freaking years to this damn Patriots team. But I think they stop the schneid. They end the schneid. I know they won, a meaningless game at the end of last year. But, I don't really count that. This is a big game. They could go 2-1, Connor, going into a home game against Zach Wilson and the Broncos, who have looked inept offensively the first 2 weeks. Like, that should be a game they feast. There's a shot they head across the pond to Sam Darnold 3-1, but you don't want to look too far ahead because it starts with a win over the Patriots. I think the Jets win this game 20-13 over the Pats. What do you got?
Well, I'm going to piggyback on the JFM comment there earlier. He did exit today's game. He's in concussion protocol. Now, in terms of what do I have for the home opener, I know you mentioned Hunter Henry there. That's not great for the Jets that he produced those numbers because Jets were able to contain George Kittle during week 1. However, Jets are historically bad at stopping tight ends in the passing game, so it's not great to see that. And you mentioned the 2 receivers. There were no receptions from Demario Pop Douglas today.
Are you at? Yeah, there were none.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Yes, because that's really interesting because Douglas was the leading receiver for the Patriots in terms of yardage last season. Wasn't even involved in their week 2 game plan. That just goes to show they're focused on that tight end across the middle of the field. That is the X factor, I'd say. Probably, I'd say Tony Adams and Chuck Clark for the majority of the game will be trying to lock Henry down. I think that's a key to the game. In terms of my final score prediction, those are tough. For example, these are tough because I never get them right. I wasn't too far off during today's game. I said 21-14 Jets for today's.
I said 23-16, so I was 1 point off from each side. Pretty close.
Yeah, really close there. This is tough. Will the Jets defense revert to the form we know they could play at the elite level? That's a massive question. This is tough. I'm going to go 21-17. Jets come out on top.
Let's go. We're taking the Jets across the board, and man, it'll be fired up at MetLife if they are 2-1. But they got to do it prettier. Like 21-17, that sounds kind of ugly, and 2013 sounds ugly. Like, we want to see 35-10. Like, realistically, we would love to see that and escaping with no injuries. But just find ways to win games. Clearly, we found out these aren't going to be pretty wins. Like, there aren't going to be many games that they blow teams away. But find a way to get to 10-11 wins and make the playoffs. And it's good we have a win in September. September has just been a month of death for the Jets.
Yes.
Like, it has just been a terrible month for this team. Last year, obviously, you won the first game, but you lost your quarterback for the year. Find ways to win football games, and the Jets got to win the home opener. And I think the fans are going to fire him up enough to go 2-1. He is Connor Long, 13-year-old sensation. Connor, keep grinding. He writes for Jets X Factor, New York Flight Talk. What is the name? New York Flight Jets Talk, right?
Yes, there you go. You got it right there.
Subscribe to their YouTube as well. Subscribe here to the Sick Podcast, Jets Flight Club. Smash that thumbs up if you're watching. Comment below. Tweet us at SickPodJets. Follow Connor. Follow me at Jake Brown Radio. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. Give us a 5-star rating. Write a nice review. We appreciate it. I'll be back likely with Eric Friday morning. I'll be in New Jersey. I'll be close to the stadium Friday morning. Post-game show, Jets, Pats. Happy Victory Monday, Connor. It feels good to win a game. As ugly as it was, as much as we talked about the negative, the positive is that big fat W that the Jets got. And we want about 9 more of those. I said 11-6 at the start. Give me 10 or 11 wins. We'll be happy. Nothing less than a playoff spot for the Jets. Connor Long, Jake Brown, Jets Flight Club. Talk to you Friday. Let's go, Jets.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Jets Fight Club on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.